We have Telemundo here. Telemundo presenta. Okay. Hey, what's up, my peoples? How you doing? We're today, right now, walking to a press conference of the due fact of this bomb threat that we have at work. So I wanted to document this and record it and vlog it because I think this is very serious, and for some reason I want to share the awareness of this, the effect that this is causing, not only for my own benefit or my own safety, because it's a bomb threat, it's not because of my own safety, but also my coworker safety and a huge community that depends on the work that we do to be able to sustain. So this is something very serious, and we're going to be talking about the subject. Right now, if you don't see the background, we have the press. We have a channel, the press. We have actually, this is what channel? This is channel, you'll see, I think it's channel 7. And we're going to be creating awareness on mom's population, because this is serious. And we're been bomb threat for starting from today. Today's the 15th, so we are being bomb threat. I'm going to go into details with this video, and I want you to, support me on whatever that looks like for you, whether it's sharing this video, whether it's commenting. This is actually happening in Los Angeles, California, in Koreatown. So I am actually with the work gear to represent the organization, but I also here advocating for the community and their safety and what that looks like, So we want to make an impact and take advantage of this opportunity, and make it, make a good outcome out of this, and look for strategies or something that will really give us that safe space and that safe space for our community. So without further ado, while you subscribe to my channel, let the show begin. El 4 acá, Telemundo 52 y el 4, I don't know what. Okay, I guess this is the address. Okay, there's all security here. Sin continuar el outfit del día. So this is the preparation of the press conference. They're preparing the cameras. My coworkers are in there already. I think people's coming from they say hi. And we're trying to document a little bit. I can show you the view.
Oh, you're fine. I want to be able to read it. I want to be able to see that. I love the fact that it
Marina, say hi, Marina.
And my son, God bless him.
Yun sa taglan lang. Ang minotelo. It's so hot. Oh, tell me you have another gum. Another gum.
Do you want one?
Yes.
So now my son,
You smell so fresh. Like I already brushed my teeth, but it went away. It's gone. I want that.
Go.
Go. And we have Channel 7. And then versus Hey.
We just sit down.
The people from LA were the same. Then Maria is parking.
yeah, the rest of your lives, just remember to leave the toilets.
That's what's his name again?
Oh, this guy, that's Tony.
Tony. He did it?
He got on stage, yeah. He's really good. And he was half on Stop on Friday, so he wore it, I think, last night until midnight. He's good.
Impressive. Yeah. Sure, impressive. Thank you for the preview of the live show. This is going to be Bambi, LAPD.
First and foremost, I want to give everyone a warm thank you for your time and effort to be here today. I wish it was under better circumstances. As you all know, we're here because of the bomb threat incident with the Trans Latina Coalition and other related incidents to the LGBT community. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Mr. Robin Tolma, Executive Director of the LA Human Relations Commission.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We really appreciate it. As you know, there was a bomb threat made against the Trans Latina Coalition, whose offices aren't far from here, and they have long been a partner of ours. And it's at a time when clearly we have to understand not only are the number of hate crimes up in general across the county, across the country. But also, we know that the trans community in particular experiences the highest level of hate crimes they've ever experienced in the history of us taking the point, and that's over 4 decades. And the level of violence of those hate crimes is always among the highest. 9 out of 10 approximately hate crimes against a transgender person are violent, and that far exceeds that of many other targeted groups. What does that tell us? It tells us that we are in a period when the trans community, our trans brothers and sisters, are very vulnerable to the kind of hostility and hate that is out there. And there's a real lack of understanding of what that is about. I wanted to tell you that our annual hate crime report, which shares all the hate crimes that are reported by not just the LAPD, not just the Sheriff's Department, but 43 other police agencies here in LA County, Glendale, Long Beach, Pasadena, et cetera, as well as a number of other police agencies, such as UCLA and other LAUSD and other places. And a really new important part of that reporting is LA versus hate, as you can see here. That is the county's anti-hate program, which has a system set up that allows now people to report not just hate crimes, but any act of hate, because sometimes it's not clear whether it's a crime or not, to report any act of hate or hostility to laversushate.org or to call 211. And because of that, LA versus Hate has actually become the 3rd largest source of reported hate crimes in our county, exceeding everyone except for LAPD and the Sheriff's Department. Yet, despite the fact that we have reported the 44 anti-transgender crimes in our most recent report being the highest ever recorded, we know that that is not the full picture. That there are many, many hate crimes that go unreported. And we know that not just because of our experience, our lived experience, and the many anecdotes we hear about what people say, but also because there have been numerous studies by the US Justice Department, which has taken a very detailed crime victimization survey each year, in which they learned that at least twice as many hate crimes occur that are actually reported to the FBI through the local state and city police departments and the sheriff's departments. So there's no question that hate crime is underreported. But we know, because of actual surveys done here in LA County, as well as our experience, that the transgender community is one of those communities that experiences even a higher rate of underreporting. I also want to say that if you look at our hate crime report, you will also learn that Latinos and Latinas are the most frequent target of those anti-transgender crimes, followed by blacks and whites. We also know that the suspects are overwhelmingly male strangers. And we actually recount some of the really ugly hate crimes that have been reported through the police departments and other partners. The actual cases are here in our report, and this is available online. So I encourage you to take advantage of that resource. The reason we do it is to make sure that all of our partners, both law enforcement and community and government, all know about this and are all taking steps to address it. I also wanted to say that we felt this was so critical. Today is the actual day that the bombing was threatened, and so we felt it was really important to call this press conference so that everyone knew about it, and they understand this in the context of the larger phenomena of anti-transgender hate. I just want to say personally, I understand the seriousness of this because, I went through a whole history of education around civil rights when I was in college and law school, and very little was about the transgender community. And that's because it's one of the communities that is the least understood, the least accepted, really, to be honest, in our society. Yet, I actually worked directly with a lawyer for many years who is a mentor and a hero to me. And that person felt like at a late point in his life, her life, basically said that when she was 9 years old, born a male, assigned a gender as male, raised with her mother, the fact that he at the time did not feel like a male, felt like a female. And the mother said, as many parents do, wanting to protect the child, don't say anything about it, okay, but don't say anything about it. And that person lived their life, the next 50-some years of their life, as a male. And it wasn't until the point where that person said, you know what, I'd rather die than continue living a gender that I'm not, to living this lie. And then I also reflect on the fact that, personally, actually as a Robin, and as a younger man, I had longer hair and shaved, or didn't have much facial hair. I many times was misgendered. And I always felt like, well, I can understand the name, but when you see me, I would assume that people wouldn't assume, but they do. And I always felt like, I needed to correct it. And so that's something that is so important to recognize, the misgendering, how it feels wrong. It just feels wrong when you're being called a gender that you're not. And I am a he or him, but there are many people who might present in a way that's ambiguous or that is unclear, but when people learn that, the problem is when people insist on continuing to address a person by their assigned birth, their gender assigned at birth versus their actual gender identity. We actually have a button that we distribute and we have available here that says, pledge to change every day, Ally Week, Mix It Up Day, my pronouns are, and it gives you a space to write in your pronoun. And that's something that we brought a bunch of these buttons down for anyone to take. We're also, as part of LA versus Hate, which is our responsibility as the County Commission on Human Relations, our responsibility is to be the leader in anti-hate work in our county. And in doing so, LA versus Hate has produced a number of materials, not just these posters, but also curriculum at our Dream Resource Centers that are at 8 different schools around the county, in which we create safe places for students to be, students who are targeted for a variety of reasons, including being transgender, being LGBT, being an immigrant, being a racial or religious minority. We create those safe places so they can come together and support one another and be supported by us and the school. Here is an example of one of our posters. This is Comunidad, Los Cuidamos el Uno al Otro. And this talks about the importance of reporting hate, either calling 211 or going to laversushate.org. We recently produced this poster as well, which is about protecting and celebrating our LGBTQ+ community. And all of these are available there on the table. And also this, which was part of our Summer of Solidarity, Season of Solidarity, which we painted a mural in Long Beach signaling to the community that the transgender, the LGBT community belong here in LA, that they are part of LA's history, and that they should be treated with respect and inclusion. And that's something that we unveiled last year. But all of that's online as well, and those are all posters available there. We also have many resources on laversushate.org, kits for schools, for cities, for law enforcement. The goal that we have, of course, is to not only know the true nature of the problem here in LA County by having all those who experienced hate to report it, but we also want to help people. So we have free assistance in any language, 24 hours, 7 days a week, to anyone who calls 211 or goes to laversushate.org and reports it. So, and let me just say that the help doesn't just come from us. We're a small agency relatively, but so our partners through the community, Trans Latina Coalition being an important one, as well as the City of LA. I want to thank Capri for being here with the Department of Civil Rights, because they're also an important partner in this work. And of course, there's law enforcement, which is critical to being able to address hate violence and hate crimes and making sure its suspects are sought after, arrested, and dealt with, so that there's a clear signal that this is not something that we tolerate in our society. So let me just stop there and invite you to welcome the head of the Trans Latina Coalition, Bobby Salcedo.
Gracias a Dios y a la vida por tener un día más de vida. Gracias a la tierra en la cual estamos hoy en día y gracias a todas las personas que nos acompañan. Greetings, beautiful people. My name is Bambi Salcedo. For those of you who were not able to understand, I just give grace and honor to our Creator, my Creator, a higher power, for giving me the opportunity to breathe one more day as a trans woman. I also honor the land where we're standing on today, and I honor your beautiful and amazing presence. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. It is unfortunate that we are gathered today to, in these circumstances. I think first I want to thank Robin Thoma for his partnership and everybody who has come together to address this issue. The Trans Latina Coalition is the biggest trans-led organization in the United States and has done critical work specifically to uplift and support the livelihood of trans, gender non-conforming, and intersex people. And I'm really grateful that in this today, due to the circumstances, that our partners have stepped up and have shown up in solidarity with the trans community. Unfortunately, trans people continue to experience violence in many different levels. One of our compañeras once said that every day the trans woman steps out of their homes, it's a revolutionary act. And really, essentially, particularly trans women, our lives are always at risk. Many people said that we are people who walk with targets on our back. And it is true, because the statistics said that even last year, there was almost 45 people who are members of our community who were murdered. This year alone has been at least 10 murders against our community. And And so this is an issue that continues to happen, right? But all of this happens because the societal issues and the societal conditions that we are placed under. And also, the media plays a big role as to what people think of us. And that is why there are many different groups who are organizing and who have been formed to specifically diminish and attack and kill, ultimately, our community. One of those groups is Protect Kids California, who are actively organizing to introduce a ballot measure at the state level. And so that's just one example. But there are many different right-wing, extreme religious groups who are targeting not just our organization, but also targeting other translator organizations and members of our community as a whole. And so what I want to say that we need to do better. We need to do better to ensure that trans people are integrated in the tapestry of our society. And we need to do better into making sure that there are resources to support the livelihood of our community. We need to do better into accepting the reality that trans people exist and have existed for many years. And despite their efforts to erase who we are as people, as a community, they're not going to succeed. And that's why we need all of you to ensure that we send the appropriate message to say that that hate is not welcome in LA or anywhere in the United States. And so for that, I am so grateful that we have our partners here who have come together in solidarity with all of us. And I want to make sure that that we recognize that if it's not through our partnerships, we're not going to continue to be better, right? As a community, as an organization. And so I want to say thank you so much to Robin and to the DA, LAPD, and the city civil rights department for coming, and obviously, Supervisor Solis, everybody who has come together. And because we value our partnerships and because we value solidarity, I also want to make sure that one of our partners who have been a strong partner since the beginning of our organization, and that person is Judy Candelario, who is part of APAIT, who is also part of Special Service for Groups, who are also partnered with LA versus Hate in LA County. And so at this time, I would like to invite Judy Candelario to please address.
Magandang tanghali, which is good afternoon in my native Tagalog tongue. I am a Filipino immigrant celebrating my 35th year of being in America, actually this month, earlier this month on April 5th. I am the Director of Access to Prevention, Advocacy, Intervention, and Treatment, which is a division of Special Service for Groups, which is also part of the LA versus Hate initiative. So thanks to Robin and the efforts of the LA Human Relations Commission. APAD is basically a health and human service agency whose mission is to positively impact the quality of life for those experiencing inequities in behavioral health, sexual health, human trafficking, housing insecurity, as well as justice involvement. As the next door neighbor and a longtime community partner of Trans-Latina Coalición, I stand here together with all of you condemning the fear-mongering and the anti-hate rhetoric towards the trans siblings. As a social worker and a public health researcher, I have for 2 decades bear witness essentially to the chronic stress of our trans siblings fearing every day for their lives, fearing for their safety. And as Mbambi had indicated, also the issue of the violence that they're targeted on a daily basis. But there is hope. There's people like us here gathered today to stand up against that. There is hope because there's solidarity amongst all of us. There is hope because there's allyship for trans siblings. So again, I compel all of you as members of the community, as members of the private sector or the public sector, our community advocates, our activists, that we are here in solidarity for our trans siblings. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jury, for being here with us. I wanted to now invite up here the representative of Supervisor Hilda Solis, who was actually the author of the board of motion that launched LA versus Hate several years ago, and tell you that when at a time when not many people were talking about what was going on, Supervisor Solis came to me personally and said, I heard this piece of news about this transgender woman who was violently attacked, and we really need to do something about this at a time when really it was rarely heard among public officials. So her commitment to this is so heartfelt and personal and genuine that I so appreciate her leadership. And the Board of Supervisors, in its entirety, has been supportive completely in passing not only the original motion, but several motions since then to dedicate additional funds and the millions of dollars to launch our massive anti-hate program and system. So with that, I want to introduce to you a Senior Justice Deputy for her, Esther Lin, who has been a wonderful partner in this work. Esther.
Thank you so much, Robin. Good morning or good afternoon. I'm Esther Lim, Senior Justice and Equity Deputy for the Supervisor, Hilda Solis, who represents the 1st District. Though she was not able to be here today, she stands strongly and condemns hate, transphobia, homophobia, and stands strongly with Trans Latina Coalition and the many LGBTQ+ organizations that we have throughout LA County. The bomb threat and hate mail that TLC and other LGBTQ+ organizations have received is criminal and a threatening and violent attempt to intimidate the LGBTQ+ community. This is an act of cowardice, and LA County will not stand for it. Our LGBTQ+ family and community continue to top the population that are consistently victimized with incidents of hate because of ignorance and hatred. The Supervisor, as mentioned, has been a longtime supporter of the LGBTQ+ community. And it was only a couple of weeks ago when Supervisor Solis presented Trans Latina Coalition a grant of $55,000 to support their housing project in East LA to continue to support our LGBTQ+ family. Also last year, she put forward a motion to create LA County's first LGBTQ+ commission to ensure that this community has a seat at the table and help create a more equitable and inclusive LA County. The Supervisor has continued and will continue to advocate and stand with our community and LGBTQ+ siblings. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Esther, and please pass on our thanks to Supervisor Solis for her support. Of course, when hate crimes are happening, we have to look to law enforcement to respond oftentimes to be able to address it. And so we're fortunate that we have the LAPD here with us, who has been responding to this particular one, as well as many other anti-transgender hate crimes in our community. So with that, I want to introduce to you Assistant Chief Blake Chow, who is here for the department, as well as Deputy Chief Ruby Flores.
Good evening, or good afternoon, I'm sorry. My name is Blake Chow, B-L-A-K-E-C-H-O-W. I'm the Assistant Chief, the Director, Office of Special Operations. I just wanted to speak a little bit about hate crimes in general, and then I'll go more into the case with this bomb threat suspect. It is actually, well, I have a message for society, a message for our community. It is sad that we're having to come to these press conferences and still discussing these things that have been going on for years and years and years, and the only way this is ever going to change is we have to come together as a community and it's a society, and really send the message out that we will not tolerate hate in this community or any other community. Because statistically, you know, hate crimes between 2023 and 2022, according to our statistics, but as we know, people don't report things, so this is underreported. We saw a 13% increase in hate crimes at the end of 2023. We saw a 40% increase in hate crimes on race and ethnicity, and we saw a 23% increase in hate crimes with sexual orientation, and LGBTQ hate crimes are up 33% in 2023. 33%. Now, you know, you've heard the statistics, but we can't forget that each one of those statistics, there's a person behind those numbers. There's an individual, there's family members, and each hate crime, there's a victim, and a victim whose sense of community is profoundly violated. So although we talk about statistics, really what we're here for is because these types of incidents and crimes affect people in ways that statistics cannot capture. And as we know, as we've seen, hate crimes are not isolated incidents. We've seen them all across the swath in Los Angeles in the last several years, and they really cast a pall, in my opinion, or kind of a shadow over society about what we really can become versus kind of what is going on right now. And so I always ask myself the question, well, how did we ever get here? And there's just like a few things I think that have happened that have really kind of exacerbated this problem for us. Number one is we've come out of a political climate that really emboldened people that espouse hate and hate groups, where they felt more emboldened to act out. And so we've seen that occur. Social media, we talked about the media a little bit. Social media has been a double-edged sword for all of us, because social media, while it has a significant value, social media has brought together people that espouse hate, either as groups or individuals. They're put together in their little groups, and they swap misinformation back and forth, and then somebody gets emboldened to act. So that has been a very, very big factor in kind of where we are. We've seen some international events, obviously. Health issues, COVID for the AEPI community was and it still is, a big factor in some of the hate incidents that they're seeing. So I always ask myself, and I tell the community, these are kind of the marching orders. What do we do about it? Number one, again, as we talked about being together as a community, all the different communities in Los Angeles, we've got to stick together, and we have to have a message that resonates out of all of our groups that is unified in saying, we will not tolerate hate. And if you see something, either a hate incident or a hate crime, you need to, just from a humanitarian standpoint, you need to say something so that we can do something about it. Because that's really what we do. And if we have a victim, we need to reach out to the victims to make sure that they're taken care of also with services. Second thing I talk about is nobody is born with hate in their heart. They learn this somewhere. People learn hate somewhere. A baby is not born with hate. We have got to get into our schools and educate children at a very, very young age so that we can counter some of this stuff that they're picking up from their families, their friends, social media. It's going to take a long time, but we really need to get to our young people so that they understand the value of the diversity that we have in this community. We have to report. We talked about hate reporting. You can call 911, 211, or 311. Thank you to Capri Maddox. We developed a system where you can report on 311 or 211. But also this year LAPD launched an online hate incident reporting system. So if you go to our website, lapd.online, and say file a report, you can report a hate incident online without having to call the police. And that's important because a lot of people don't want to wait for the police, and we understand there are people that don't want to talk to police officers. Well, now there's a way that you can report this without having to do that. And it's important because hate incidents are things that are precursors to hate crimes. So that's why we need to learn about it. And then thank you to our DA. Prosecution is a very big component of this also, because not only does it hold, as we'll talk about a little bit, this individual that made this bomb threat accountable, but it sends a message to society that you cannot commit a hate crime without being held accountable in some way by our justice system. So let me go into the, I'll read into the incident. So this involves the bomb threat hate crime at the Trans-Latina Coalition on Wilshire Boulevard on March 28th at about 9:25 in the evening. A male identified himself as Henry, called a national suicide hotline, and made several statements regarding the bombing of the Trans-Latina Coalition business on Juneteenth, and also referenced setting their building on fire using an accelerant. He also made a brief statement about attacking the LA Pride Parade in June as well. The suicide hotline counselor actually recorded the call and reported it to our LAPD dispatch. So that very night, Major Crimes Division, which operates out of my shop, was notified and assumed the investigation. And they actually, through some high-tech investigative techniques as well as good old-fashioned detective work, they were able to identify the suspect and make contact with them that night, and actually received some statements about his admittance to actually making this bomb threat. And again, as we know, we've got to take these things very seriously. They went out to the location, but unfortunately, the suspect was not there. So on April 11th, Metropolitan Division, which is also out of our shop, set up took the case and the responsibility of trying to locate the suspect. They went to this individual's last known address, which was at the 200 block of West 53rd. And at 6:30 in the evening, they observed the suspect entering his residence, and the suspect was arrested about that incident. We did a probation search on the location and conducted for weapons, but we didn't find anything additional other than the threat. So what I wanted to, and I'll give you the name of the suspect since we're finished here. So the suspect was actually booked for 148A of the Penal Code, reporting a false bomb threat to a police officer, and was booked no bail. A probation hold was placed on the individual because this individual was on probation. And the case was then presented to our Los Angeles District Attorney's Office today. I'm pleased to announce that the District Attorney's Office filed one count of 422 of the California Penal Code, which is criminal threats, along with hate crime enhancement. And that individual is being held on no bail right now, and his probation has been revoked. So the suspect is identified as Henry Nullkemper, that's Nolkemper. He's a male white. He has a birth date of 11/21/1963. So he's got a criminal history, as well as we believe some contacts with mental health. But I'm pleased to say that we took the suspect into custody, took it very seriously. Major Crimes worked throughout the night on this, and for the last several weeks, we're able to identify somebody and hand it off to our partners here in the DA, which is exactly, how things should work out very quickly like that, so we can keep our community safe. But again, I'll go back and I'll close with the fact that in the world we want to get to is we never even have to deal with this stuff, but we're not going to get there until our communities and society step up together as one, and let people know that we won't tolerate these types, well, actually any crimes, but in particular hate crimes that target individual groups and individual people. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Deputy Chief Ruby Flores. I am the department's LGBTQ+ Community Outreach Coordinator, and I've been in this position for the last probably 3 years or so. I also have a partner that I do want to acknowledge today, Senior Lead Officer Cindy Wada, who's standing at the back of the room. Thank you for being here. So I think it's important, again, to recognize that I stand here, I too, with somewhat of a heavy heart, because this is, again, indicative of the hatred and the discrimination that still exists across society, not just in Los Angeles, but around the nation. And at times it seems as though it's getting worse, regardless of crime statistics and if they're up or down. It still takes a heavy toll on our community members. And reducing the fear of crime is our biggest challenge as law enforcement officers, which is why I value this position that I hold. It shows the true commitment and the dedication to working with our community members, with each and every one of you. This position has been in place probably for 30 years. It started under Chief Willie Williams, where he identified a senior lead officer to become a liaison for the LGBTQ+ community. Since then, we have grown. We have grown together with our communities, but also I feel so better accepted, and I'll acknowledge we've not always gotten it right, but through this partnership and relationship building that we have with this, through our liaison program with the department in various communities, accountability has grown, is in place, along with training. So I think that some of the greatest work and the strides that we've made as a department come with the work that we've done together with the community, where we have a working group where together we have identified training issues for our police officers. We have changed policy. Said many of the people on that working group are here in this room, whom I thank for allowing the LAPD to come into this space and to be open to change along with you and with your input and your insight. We continue to move towards that space. The other thing too is that it assists us in providing real-time assistance to our community members. When there is an incident such as this, with the fear that is instilled in many when there's a bomb threat, I received several calls, so did Senior Lead Officer Wada. We immediately reacted and began to reiterate that we were taking this seriously, we are investigating it, and we want to ensure safety for everyone. So that was certainly the priority, and it speaks to the work that lies ahead of us. So I think that this is not only a stark reminder of what society is, but also it's a call to action for us to continue to move forward and to continue to create policies and systems and relationships so that we can continue to provide the best and equal protection for everyone, so that we are truly inclusive in the city of Los Angeles. So with that, I thank you for having the Los Angeles Police Department here, but also showing the world that love will triumph over hate every single time. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Flores, Assistant Chief Chow. As I mentioned, a longtime partner in this work against hate crime is the District Attorney George Gascon, who I actually knew when he was at LAPD commander, so going way back. But I know that he wanted to be here today but could not, but he has sent Mark Bayard, who is the Director of Fraud and Corruption Prosecutions with the District Attorney's Office, which oversees including...
We are committed to prevention, education, and enforcement in curtailing hate crimes. We are here to protect all the residents of LA County, their belief and right to express themselves without spiteful hate or violent actions. Today, with this one suspect, in this particular case, we were left with someone where prevention and education failed, which left us with enforcement. And late this morning, we filed one felony count, a hate crime allegation, and we're requesting high bail. This is the price that this individual will have to pay for wanting to denigrate the people of this county and also the various communities that we protect, which is everyone. So thank you very much. We're fighting the good fight.
Thank you, Director Bayard. I want to now invite to the podium the Associate Director of the Trans Wellness Center, Mariana Marroquin.
Hi everyone, my name is Mariana Marroquin. I'm Associate Director at Trans Wellness Center. We are also part of the LGBT Center, Los Angeles LGBT Center. I I'm also a transgender woman, and I want all of you to know that for a trans people, hate is something that we learn at a very young age. Hate is real. We've seen it, we feel it, and despite of that, every day we go to work and we show society that we deserve to provide for ourselves, for the people that we love, and for our community. I'm here to support Trans Latina Coalition because I see them every day going to work. Everyone there doing amazing work and growing every day. We keep adding faces and people and stories, and we want to change society by showing that we can do it. We can take care of our own community. And I want people to know that being trans is not a bad thing. We should learn about each other. We should learn about humanity. We should be kind with each other. And these places, Trans Latina Coalition, Trans Wellness Center, Bienestar, APIT, in every location, in every public place, every school should be open for everyone, despite of their gender identity. We're gonna keep working together, and I appreciate everyone that is here today, because we must remain open. And Los Angeles has been home for me for more than 20 years. I'm an immigrant woman from Guatemala who suffered a hate crime, and that's why I had to leave. But my story is not unique. People keep arriving here with hopes, not for the American dream, but be able to survive. And that keeps happening. So we must remain open, and we must remain together, learning from each other. So hate is real, but love is real also. And despite of seeing it closely, we go out every day and we show society and people who we are. And we're not gonna stop. We're not gonna hide. Because it's possible to be yourself in LA.
Thank you so much, Mariana, for your words, for your courage, and for doing the work you do every day. I want to now call up Capri Maddox, who is the head of the LA City Civil Rights and Human Rights Department.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you for the invitation. Capri Maddox, Executive Director, LA Civil Rights Department, CAPRI-MADDOX. Robin, we know that hate crimes have soared in LA County, and we know that hate has no home in Los Angeles. But one thing I think it's important for folks to know is that the hate crimes against the transgender community tend to be more violent. We're talking disfiguring crimes where people have bottles stabbed in their faces. We're talking shootings, etc. So things are very violent when it comes to the hate crimes against the transgender community. And oftentimes those victims are women of color. And as you heard the stats, the Latino women in particular seem to be targeted. And in this moment, we are standing strong and firm with the Trans Latina Coalition. And we are pleased to also have a representative of not only that organization, but of the LA Civil Rights Department for the City of Los Angeles here today in the name of Maria Ramon Taylorson, our wonderful commissioner on the Human Relations Commission with LA City. And so we are honored to stand with you. We are honored to stand with your community because we know, thinking about Mayor Bass and LA City Council, hate has no home in Los Angeles. I want to say it again, hate has no home in Los Angeles. When we looked at some of the stats, hate has been going up for the last several years, and I believe, our chief actually, assistant chief actually made some statements about why that may be happening. But I want you all to know that although the numbers are up, we are coming together and people are feeling more comfortable actually reporting hate crimes and hate incidents. I know how this feels, this moment of your place and your sacred space being violated with a sense of fear. I'm a member of a church, and many years ago, we were told that we were under a bomb threat. And to see how Los Angeles came together for us really meant so much in that time of trouble. And so I want to send a message to those from the transgender community that may feel a little shaken now. I want you to feel supported and to know that all of Los Angeles is here for you and the whole of government is here for you. You see LAPD, DA's office, of course, our service providers that are present here with us. But I want you to feel comfortable in Los Angeles. But if you don't, I want you to also know that you can call 211 with LA County, 311 with LA City, and in those spaces you'll get culturally competent support as it relates to how you can report a hate crime or hate incident. We also have Know Your Rights training, and of course, LA Civil Rights Department in LA City has the award-winning LA is for Everyone campaign to send a strong message for hate crime prevention. And we can also bring cases against folks that violate your civil rights in the areas of commerce, education, employment, and housing. So we want to just let you all know again that from our service providers to our prosecutors that are here, who are here today, we have the whole of government standing with you. We stand united with the transgender community in these times, in these difficult moments, and we want to be intentional to let you know, don't let this be the loudest voice in your head. Do not let hate and discrimination dominate in your minds particularly as you think about going about your normal business to stores and to work, etc. We want you to feel the support of LA City in these spaces. And I want you to know that LA is for love, and I want to leave you with this, that LA is truly for everyone. And you can find us at laisforeveryone.com for more information, or follow us at LA Civil Rights. With that, I believe we are at the end of the press conference, and we will take questions. So I'll call Robin back to the stage. Thank you so much.
I call Gabby to sign up as well. Any questions for?
I was just kind of hoping that maybe even Assistant Chief Chow could maybe give us a little bit more detail about, kind of circle back to how this bomb threat came in. It sounds like it didn't go directly to TLC headquarters, is what it sounds like. And just kind of take us back and run us through everything that transpired with regard to the bomb threat, and also maybe address any other hate mail that's been targeting other LGBTQ+ organizations in Los Angeles, and where things stand as far as any investigations for that.
Okay, I can speak specifically to the incident, and then I have my detectives back here, Detective Allen, and also we can go in more detail. But just in general, as I mentioned, it was on March 28th at about 9:30. An individual he called himself Henry. He called the National Suicide Hotline and made several statements regarding bombing the Trans-Latino Coalition on Juneteenth. And he actually had gone into referencing setting the building on fire using some accelerants and things like that. And then he also made a brief statement about attacking the LA Pride Parade in June. So the suicide hotline counselor contacted our LAPD dispatch center, and that was dispatched as a call. And that night, actually, because of the hate crime and the bomb threat, that was Major Crimes Division assumed the responsibility for that. So they made contact with the hotline. He ended up leaving a phone number. They were able to contact him that night on the phone and probably spent about 45 minutes with him and got some statements about, like an admission about making those threats. And then when they went out to his location, which was the last known address was the 200 block of West 53rd Street in Los Angeles at 6:30. Oh, I'm sorry, let me back up. He was. When they went to the last known address, the individual wasn't there. So we actually knew that we had to do probably a little bit more digging to find this individual. We wanted to get him off the street before he could actually do anything to anybody. So on April 11th, our Metropolitan Division, B platoon, which is kind of a group of officers that are experts in kind of identifying the suspects, figuring out where they're living. and going out and taking them into custody. Went out to 200 block of West 53rd Street at 6:30 p.m. and set up surveillance, and he was seen entering his residence. So the officers approached him at his door, and he was taken in custody without no use of force, anything like that. He was booked at, and for, again, as I said, 148 of the California Penal Code, which is reporting a false bond threat to a police officer, and booked no bail. He was on probation for some of the things that he'd been involved in his criminal history, and that was revoked. Then over the weekend, and then today on Monday, that case was presented to our district attorney's office, who actually filed the 422 PC, which is actually of the California Penal Code making a criminal threat, and because of the targeting of the Trans-Latino Coalition, because of the statements that he made, he was actually, they did a hate crime enhancement on the charge, which will, upon conviction, will result in a larger sentence. And so right now, I believe he's no bail.
I believe it's $1 million.
He gets $1 million bail, and his probation has been revoked, so he's off the streets. That's how that kind of went down. Roger, do you have anything to add to that, or?
Is there anything related to like other email that was targeting LGBTQ plus organizations?
Not that I'm aware of with this individual. It looks like probably right now it's kind of a lone actor, and we're always worried in this region about organized hate groups and then lone actor, call them lone wolves. There are individuals that kind of develop hate for a group kind of on their own, maybe they get on the internet or something like that. So in this case, individual it appears as though he was acting by himself, and this is the only incident that we know of. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
And Assistant Chief, let me ask you, in those 45 minutes call, did he mention his intention, why he was targeting precisely this coalition?
You guys want to add to that? Our investigation's still ongoing, and we have, prosecution we have to work with on our district attorneys. So right now, we would rather not comment on that. We're in a situation where, things are not reported. People experience things on the streets that are not reported. So that's part of the reason we're here, is because we need to let society know that the only way we're going to eradicate this issue is if people are more aware. And you have to report everything you see. You can have a situation where you might experience a hate incident, or somebody experiences something on the street, or they get a phone call. We don't want that to be, just kind of, not dealt with because, I don't want to bother the police department, or I don't want to bother, the county or the sheriffs or whatever. The reason we need to know that is because number one, we need to, if it's a hate incident, which does not involve a crime, we need to report hate incidents, because that will allow us to create a record of possibly, if we can identify them, individuals and their actions, because they'll end up escalating, and I guarantee you at some point in time they'll commit a hate crime, whether it be a bomb threat, it could be an assault, it could be a shooting, it could be a number of things, and we need to go back with our data so that we can approach a district attorney and say, hey, can you consider a hate crime enhancement on this incident? So part of the reason we're here is because we need to let people know, we realize people don't report things, but I cannot stress the importance of reporting those things. So to answer your question, I am sure there are a lot of phone calls made to different organizations that just never get reported.
So it's a common occurrence.
I believe it is, yes. And that's why we're still sitting here talking about hate crimes after we've known that it's become part of a problem in society for many, many, many years.
Bambi, can you also speak to kind of how you and your community are feeling, knowing that this man is now behind bars? And what are you guys doing to ensure everybody feels safe at your organization?
So I do want to say that this is not the first time that our organization has received this kind of threats. We have phone calls before, specifically, saying, but these calls were directly to our organization. Obviously, when that happened, we had to call the authorities, and we're very lucky that they came and did a sweep and all of those things. So we follow what we were supposed to do. Since then, our organization has created a emergency plan for all of us, for an active shooter or whatever the case may be. And so that's what's happening. But what is also happening is that we are also receiving mail. Several from our staff members have received trade mail. We don't know if there's a connection or a relationship between, the person or whoever is sending mail. But sometimes we also, I myself, like, I'm a public figure, right, in some ways, and a lot of times I also get calls, and so this is something that is very real. It is unfortunate that, we have to go through this, and that someone has to be arrested, and that someone has to, being in custody. We don't know the person's situation. We don't know how this person came to do this, but either way, it's not a favorable situation for any of us, right? Non-members of our community, even the person who is now arrested, we don't know. And so I don't want to say that I'm happy that the person is arrested, but what I can say is that our community continues to be targeted, and we need to do something about it. I also want to mention that there was one of our community members who was murdered a couple of weeks ago in South LA. Her name was Merexas Medina, and that is the reality. She was only 24 years old, and so that is what we continue to experience. And so we want to make sure that we let you know that we need to stop this, right? This is infusing fear in our communities, and the more than 60 employees that we have at our organization and our community at large. And so we can't continue to do this to our own people. So yes, I don't know if there are any questions.
Sí, en español, Bami, si puedes,
Sí, claro
por
que
favor,
sí.
¿cuál fue tu reacción al conocer esto y si ha habido anteriormente situaciones similares?
Bueno, este tipo de situaciones obviamente nos baja la moral, nos da miedo, nos lleva a pensar que podemos, pues, ser blancos de violencia en cualquier momento. Pero independientemente de todo lo que podemos experimentar, pienso y sabemos que como organización tenemos una responsabilidad con nuestra comunidad, tenemos una responsabilidad dentro de la sociedad, y vamos a seguir haciendo nuestro trabajo para asegurarnos de que demostremos, que le podemos demostrar a la sociedad que podemos funcionar, que podemos hacer el trabajo, que podemos existir dentro de nuestra sociedad. Entonces no vamos a parar independientemente del miedo que sentimos.
Y hablabas que esta no es la primera amenaza que reciben.
Inafortunadamente este no es el primer incidente que hemos recibido, ni la primera amenaza. De hecho, seguimos recibiendo correo de odio, mensajes, muchas cosas en diferentes plataformas.
Has the suspect actually been found to be suicidal? And if so, is he under some sort of watch while in jail?
I think that would be a question for the authorities.
I know we don't have any indication of that, but after being booked into jail, they will keep an eye out for those types of things, and to make sure that if he does become like that, they'll be able to react accordingly and get him services.
This being a very political year, concerns that things could be getting worse as we get closer to the November election.
Capri Maddox, LA Civil Rights Department. Yes, we are concerned that hate crimes have been on the rise for the last several years, breaking even record-breaking numbers from the years in the past. But we do know for a fact that during election years, hate crimes do soar. Unfortunately, we are in an election year now, and we're on track to break our last year's record-breaking hate crime numbers, and we are very, very concerned about the climate escalating as we get closer to November.
So what's being done? I mean, is there anything proactively that can be done?
Yes.
At all levels to try to temper things?
Yes, and that's why the whole of government is united here today, and we are very, very grateful for the partnership, not only with LAPD, but LA County Human Relations Commission, and I will yield the floor to have Robin Toma speak more about the plans as we think about LA versus hate here in Los Angeles County.
Thank you, Capri. Thank you for that question. Absolutely. What we have happening, and that's expanding as we speak, is the building the networks of community-based organizations that are trusted by the different targeted communities to engage in hate prevention activities, create resources and tools, help share stories of people who have been targeted by hate, help people understand what to do about it. As Capri mentioned, that there are training programs for people to be prepared to not only what to do when they experience hate, but when they see it happening to other people, not just to be filming it, but to take constructive, thoughtful action to make sure they can potentially prevent a worsening situation that might lead to violence, and to make sure it gets reported, as was mentioned by the LAPD. We know that even though the law enforcement extends a hand and invites people to report, we know for a lot of reasons people don't want to go to law enforcement, and that's why 211, that's why LAversushate.org exists, to be an alternative path to reporting. And it doesn't have to be the person experiencing it, could be somebody who is a witness to it. And then to 311 in the city of LA also leads to the same place, and I'm really grateful for the partnership with LA City so that we can ensure that we are helping as many people as possible who are experiencing hate. As the chief said, Chief Chow, that we're not going to change this until we actually know who's experiencing it and we can help to figure out where it's coming from and be able to act on it. In this period, I just want to say that the vote is important too. We're saying to vote against hate because honestly, that is a big part of it. Who we vote for represents our values, and we ought to be thoughtful about that when we decide who to vote. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm just going to tell you that voting against hate is an important principle and reason to vote. Last thing I wanted to say is that en español, porque creo que fue una petición hace poquito, que estamos aquí para realmente asegurar que toda la gente de la comunidad, no solamente los que hablan español, pero los que también son transgénero, que pueden reportar y deben reportar cualquier acto de que ellos mismos experimenten o que vean de los demás a 211 o a laversushate.org. Porque sin hacer eso no podemos ayudar, no podemos saber lo que está pasando en nuestro condado, y estamos unificando al condado, a todas las partes diferentes, todos los sectores, para que estemos unidos contra el odio. Any other questions? Thank you very much for coming today. Thank you to all of us.
Hi.
From holding up your hand this way.
Good afternoon.
In addition of crimes against transgender people.
Well, I'll say, this was one of the more significant ones.
Do you want to email me and then?
All the building was, threat. I mean, the entire building. But there's people still working there, so.
comunidad y tenemos L Contralor que es un es una experiencia completamente nueva, muy importante y esperamos que los de la prensa, ustedes pueden seguir diciendo a la comunidad que por favor que reporten, si no la policía,
Mariana? Oh, okay.
Can somebody deal with Mike?
You ready?
Yes.
3, 1, 2, and 3.
Sorry.
1, 2, 3.
Kid, please. It's okay. Sorry. Sit out a little bit. There you go. Okay.
Put the battery with me. Yeah, just the yellow one is okay.
Okay, right here.
Okay, who are we looking at first? You.
Okay, over
Oh,
here.
sorry, yeah.
Second of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Okay. And right here?
Okay.
Right here? Walk in, please.
DA's office. Wait a minute, not DA's office.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And then now over here. And now over here. LA Civil Rights. LA Civil Rights. LA Israel.
This is we shouldn't experience this in our community.
And I didn't know you speak Spanish very well. Fluently.
Thank you.
It's
work
okay.
out every once in a while.
It was great. I'll be in contact. Thank you so much. Same here.
I'm sorry. You blew me away with your Spanish.
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We should go eat.
Ay, María, una grabadita ahí.
I've been doing this stuff for months.
Yeah, dando looks siempre. Yeah, dando los looks. She's someone else today.
Call me, ¿qué me puedo llamar hoy?
¿Cuál es tu nombre hoy?
My name is Carmen.
Okay, Carmen.
Me siento como una Carmen.
Okay, she's giving Carmen. Carmela.
Hola, mi nombre es Carmen.
Congratulations, Bambi. See validation. Okay. This is the view, which is so pretty. My friend arrived while she was here, allegedly. And look at the view. So you saw everything we spoke about. What are your thoughts? What you think about what's happening nowadays with the TGI community? And any strategies, any input you want to put, any feedback you want to give to other people that are reading on the comments, and anything. I appreciate your time to see in this video. This means a lot for me, and I appreciate if you take in consideration and this message and put it in action. So thank you so much again. Mira la Bambi. I appreciate again for you tuning in, and thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, this means a lot to me, and I love you all for your support and your unconditional love. Hopefully we get something out of this, like an impact. We need to build capacity and educate communities, families, schools, and everything. You want to say bye? Bye!
Are you waiting for Bambi?
No, Bambi's on a call. Maria's there. Gio's, everybody's there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. We gotta go. Call you on my way here because I'm like, the bitch must be there. But then it was like, Maybe she's not even there. And by the time I call her, she's not even gonna be ready. She doesn't have a little outfit. She doesn't know the category. So I'm grateful that everybody came through. The county, the city, you know, Sylvia Solis was there.
Solis was there?
Solis, no, I mean the representation. The detectives were there. LA versus Hay killed it. John, the guy, not Tony, not John. Tony, the guy that, and Morenito, he pulled all that together and he was off. He pulled it on Friday. And he was off on Friday. He pulled it overnight. Nobody works on weekend. He said that he was afraid that this was not going to turn out, and it really turned out. I'm very grateful that they showed up and they showed the support. Even the wedding had no conclusion, right?
That's what I'm saying. They're the only one that stepped out because everyone else was just being like, "Oh, we're thinking about you. We're sorry that happened."
Girl, SSG services, what is it? Group? Yeah. They really nailed it. They came together, you know, and it was all about the organization and the safety. Hopefully this turns out, the message comes across and they can continue creating narrative that educates and build capacity in the homes, at work, in schools, and other, you know what I mean, that we can't reach, right? Because we're facing kids having the same issues, parents having the same issues. Parents not having kids being trans is another issue because they could, for some reason, educate something, some narrative, some put something in their kids' head when it's not about that we're trying to teach others to become us. And that's not what we're trying to do. We just want them to accept us for who we are and that it's okay to be who we are. And this is not a disease or something that you'll get contaminated or, you know what I mean? Or addicted to, you know? This is a individual choice and it should be, you know, respected the same way we respect heterosexual cisgender communities and other communities. We should also be respected as well, you know? And this cycle thoughts about murdering and threatening the life of others, that's dishumanizing us as community. And I wish aliens will come and say we're fucking aliens, because then humans are gonna say, well, we're humans and the TGR are human too. So they'll understand why human is important, and then I'm pretty sure they'll come together like, oh, we're humans, you're aliens. But now we're the aliens. We're being the aliens in the world. This is nonstop hate incident, hate crime, that it's just pushing communities to suicide, to murders, to things that are not being reported, to a bad quality of life, a bad society. You know what I mean? It's not even safe for kids these days, you know? How after the impact, you know what I mean? Because it turned out press came and everything. Hopefully they put it across the board in all platforms and all, you know, media at the same time and make a movement so everybody in their homes, at school, and everybody that's seeing the news could be able to, you know, be on avant-garde with like on what's happening, you know, and also to educate, build capacity, create awareness that this is what's really happening behind the scenes. And it's, you know, and it's an emergency stage, because this is not right now, and a lot of people could have been dead. A lot of the community we serve, they rely on us to be able to sustain themselves, and we barely making it with them. We barely provide resources because there's not even enough money to provide to community, right? So we barely, you know, making people to survive a meal or healthcare and whatnot, right? But now just all of that is just like too much. It's unfair. People need to stop and take a chill pill and be themselves and not even like attack others no more, you know? Because It doesn't make no sense. Let people, if they want to be green, let them be green. If they want to be an elephant, let them be an elephant. Let people be what they wanted to be. Like, what is the problem? You know? If you have a different belief, if you have it's okay. We're different. We're supposed to be different, you know? And these days, because everything is so open, kids are being very rebellion and very out there, you know? I think parents are also afraid that their kids could be somehow contaminated, but this is not a disease, you know? You know, so it's a freedom of speech. There's a lot happening that we don't know. And unfortunately, sometimes parents, they don't even know the true story of their kids. Because how many stories we know about people being straight because they live with their parents, and then after their parents die or they move out, they have a double life. But speaking with Tony got to pull all the strings, and he was like, I know people, you know? And that is about connection. That's what we want to do. Continue building a relationship with people that really has that power, because that was power right there. Just to pull press, just everybody aligned on the same, you know, all county, city was there, like the representation, detectives, law enforcement, you know, the government part of it. You know, they spoke about the concept about election, the main importance of doing the right election when it comes for votings, you know, and what is best for community, you know, because this is affecting not community, but the family also of the community. And that's another thing that we're not even mentioning neither. You know what I mean? There's a lot happening. You know how many parents they're also destroyed because their kids were killed because they wanted to have that freedom of gender expression. It's like going to the store. What makes people to choose something if they want to wear something? Everybody should have the freedom to wear anything they want from any store they want. It shouldn't be a categorized that this is for this or this is for that. And everything needs to stop, because everything has been trained or molded to the old, you know, era when parents, it was like boys and girls and, you know, gay is bad, and, you know, everybody is still, you know, especially the OGs are still on that mindset. You know, we need to educate. What else is now, you know? And they might not understand, but at least letting them know, it creates an awareness, you know, and it humanizes us. It says like integrate us again to society, because it's allowing us to create that space. So when you have a situation that you're communicating with someone that is working in the coffee shop and it's a trans, you don't be thinking that like you're in a zoo, right? Because you don't even know this animal you never seen before, right? It might be a giraffe, it might be a dragon, it might be a unicorn, you don't even know, right? But then that fact that you already know about that unicorn, it somehow is gonna get you that sense of at least be social and communicate and be respectful. That's it, you know? Also, for community, this is a lesson also to avoid doing things that profines, right? That's the word? That profines our own community. Que profana. What is the word? Like for community that does things that embarrass or profane or humiliates or denigrates community, they need to stop doing that. Those things that, you know, don't be doing things that people will think that all of us, you know what I mean? Like, if a transgender rapes, if there's a case that a transgender raped a kid, now they will think that all the transgenders are rapists. You know what I mean? And this needs to stop, because we're not talking about all the priests, child molesting, right? But then we don't come and say all the priests are child molester, right? So it doesn't, you know, we need to be conscious and fair that there's someone else that doesn't look like you or think.
That is the fact that, you know how, well, one, the cops kept stumbling through it, just like, of course. But also they kept saying like LGBT, right? So it's like, so how are you capturing TGI specific? And that's what we want, like policy specific, right? Because of course the gay and lesbian center helped them to be like, oh yeah, it's the LGBT community.
No, it's
but
not.
It's TGI.
It's specific.
And,
Yeah,
like,
it's
and
specific.
how is the county or the sheriff
Yeah.
or the LAPD or all these department or the DA, how are they capturing that like these hate crimes or hate incidents are specifically targeting GI
Yeah.
people? And they're just saying, oh, LGBT. And I was just like, and I was gonna ask that question, but I'm ready to cut up. And I was like, no,
There were
let me
for
just, like,
people,
drop.
there were few people that spoke that they were just relying on LGBTQ plus, and that was not the case. And
But
this,
also, it invisibilizes because the work has been led by Bambi. Like and with the jails,
Yeah.
with the, like
Yeah.
all of that in the county,
Yeah.
like has been even before me,
Yeah.
has been led by Bambi
Yeah.
and trans Latino women. So it's like you're just invisibilizing that
Yes.
work by being like, oh, it's LGBT issue.
Yeah.
And that's what the reporter for Univision was saying right now. He was recording in the courtyard, where he was so like, la comunidad LGBT está, and I was like, girl, and I was about to interrupt him and talk shit, but I'm like, no, you're not.
yeah, because quieren usar el término LGTB because es la más conocida. Cuando tú dices TGI, todo el mundo dice, what is that?
Oh, yeah, you like,
Y la
when you
gente
say
no está
trans,
educada. Cuando tú
or
dices
you say
trans,
they're like,
entonces cuando dice, pero mira, el spectrum de TGI community that we're not even mentioning, there's,
yes.
todo el mundo es trans, but it's more than that. We're talking about queers. We're talking about free spirits. We're talking about, right, non-binary, intersex. We're talking about more than just trans, It's more than bigger than...
Yeah, but then if you say TGI, people don't know.
No, once they say LGBT, they just think about the gay people. And it's not about the LGBT. They can't even mention the last words right.
Okay, LGBT something.
They were like LGBTQ. LGBT. LGBT. It's like LGB and whatever.
LGBT and the freaks.
LGB and the extras.
And the extras.
So we need to stop that narrative. And I think this was a great move. Also, it adds to the curriculum, whether it's a negative thing, but it's a statement, it's a movement that Bambi just did. And we cannot outshine that. She was the highlight. She was the spot. You know what I mean? Whether it's not good publicity, however, this showcased the work that we're doing, and that's valuable. Whether it's coming a negative or positive. You know what I mean? So with that, it's great. We need to start being more aware of these threats and really taking action to continue moving and involving others that are going through the same process to collaborate and be able to come with strategies and continue educating and that, because LA is huge. It's a city. It shouldn't be like that, But yeah, this is the recap of the hate incident, hate crime, the bomb thread. That was the recap. Now we're going to Sizzler, and we see you on the next one. Thank you for watching, and I love you all for the support. Stop the hate. Bye. Girl, they got us bread and murder.
What happens to what crema?
Appreciate again for you tuning in, and thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, this means a lot to me, and I love you all for your support and your unconditional love. Thank you so much, and I see you on the next video.